hard as it may be to believe, that was a pretty wild time in my growing up, my development, my life, and I have to look back and say I'm very grateful for all of it, and I survived it because, unfortunately, I had a lot of close friends who did not survive it. 2 friends, one on each side of me, 1 block away, they got killed in Vietnam, and another very close friend died of a drug overdose, and another person died in an accident, and so that also taught me from a fairly young age that, life is so fragile, right? Because, I did some of those things that they did, and I could have easily lost my life. And so it all also made me wonder, why didn't I? I felt a little like guilt, you could say, survivor guilt, why me? Why them? Why not me? And I think I have some spiritual answers to that, but it was it was a time of a lot of, I don't know, a lot of emotion, a lot of searching, a lot of trying to figure out things out, which I think everybody goes through in their teenage years or early 20s. And that was like a place where you had to confront every potential issue that could come up within yourself because that would come up all around you in
Mm.
other people, in other situations, and it made you realize what you had to look at in yourself as well. Now, I didn't realize it all right away. It took me a while, okay, because I was just right in the middle of it, going with the flow. But looking back again, I wouldn't trade any of that for anything.
Yeah.
It was really formative.
That's what well, one thing I wanna touch on, and you just touched on it, is when you're in that, it was like, did you realize, like, you were in this, like, movement, this,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
for sure,
did it
because
feel
we had mass protests and
Mm,
marches, like, when I went to college, it was just across the bay from San Francisco in the University of California, Berkeley, and that was a time when there were mass protests, and, the governor of California called out the county sheriffs, and I think the National Guard and more, and one person once he wasn't a student, but he was a protester, and one student got killed, like, a block from where I was living. So, it was a very I think there's some of that now in terms of the divisiveness in North America, especially in the United States, and in terms of, I wouldn't say intolerance, but, there was definitely very strong views on both sides, and but at least one side was looking for unity, harmony, peace, all the things that you stand for in the Love, Peace, Harmony Foundation and movement. And the other side just sort of wanted to suppress all that and go on their, political journeys for power, wars, and whatnot. And I guess there's always that to some extent in society, right? There's always people like that, and there's always people like this, right?
mhm.
But it was a unified, fairly unified movement at that time, and it included, like, different different communities that came together for that reason, like the civil rights movement and the young people and more, so I don't know what more to say about it. It was like not only was it a movement, it was a movement that sort of went across the country because after I spent 4 years in college at Berkeley, I did graduate school, moved to New York, and because before that, I'd never been east of Nevada, never been east of Lake Tahoe in in my life, but moved to New York City, and it's like everything that happened in San Francisco and Berkeley was happening a year later in New York City. So it was definitely at the source of a
Well,
lot of the cultural and political and more change of that era.